Nobody feared evolution until a human student showed why Earth was called DEATHWORLD. Kira Chen's boots squealed against the polished crystal as she sprinted through the sweeping corridors of Galactic Academy. The pristine hallway stretched before her like a faceted jewel, its translucent walls refracting the warm light of 3 suns. Beautiful, really, if she hadn't been running for her life. Attention, unauthorized biological entity. Please remain stationary for quarantine processing. Yeah, that's not happening. Her lungs burning as she pushed herself faster. The pursuing security drones hummed closer, their silvery forms reflecting in the crystalline surfaces around her. Their tentacle-like appendages reached forward, crackling with containment fields. Kira, what in the 7 systems is happening? I am seeing multiple security alerts. Remember how you said the Academy's bioscanners might need recalibration for human physiology? She startled its octopoid occupant into releasing a cloud of alarmed ink. Calculating containment protocols for Class 3 biological hazard. Warning, unknown survival capabilities detected, increasing response to level red. They're classifying you as level red? That's reserved for pandemic-level threats. I gathered that from the killer robots. Kira skidded around a corner, her mind racing. 300 years of diplomatic work had gone into getting Earth readmitted to the Galactic Federation. 1 human student accepted to the Academy was supposed to be the final step. Now the entire thing could collapse because their security system couldn't handle a baseline human. The corridor ahead terminated in a sealed airlock. Kira's heart sank as she realized she'd taken a wrong turn. This section was still under construction. She spun to backtrack, but the drones had already blocked her retreat. Citizen safety protocols engaging. Please do not resist neutron containment field. Zakar, I could really use some of that veteran diplomat wisdom right about now. Working on it, kid. Just don't do anything too human. Kira watched the containment field crackle between the approaching drones, her options rapidly dwindling to 0. Unfortunately for everyone involved, doing something too human was starting to look like her only choice. Sorry, Zakar, but I think it's time to show them exactly why Earth got quarantined in the first place. 3 hours earlier, Kira had stood in the grand atrium, trying not to fidget as Dean Nextclaw's tentacles waved in what her translator claimed was a gesture of welcome. The crystalline dome above them captured the light of 3 suns, casting rainbow patterns across the assembled students. And so we celebrate this historic day, as we welcome our first Earth-originated student in 3 centuries. A ripple of movement passed through the crowd. Kira spotted at least 6 species she'd only seen in briefing files, their reactions ranging from fascination to barely concealed alarm. The quinary-limbed vector made careful notes with all 4 hands, their crystalline exoskeleton catching the light. Beside them, a bouncing pell vibrated with barely contained excitement, their fur changing colors rapidly. This is unprecedented, Vector. A real human. Did you know their planet has organisms that survive by injecting neurotoxins, and others that lure prey using bioluminescence? The diversity of predatory evolution alone. Your enthusiasm for xenobiology is noted. However, perhaps such observations could be shared more discreetly. Kira pretended not to hear, maintaining what she hoped was a diplomatic smile. The briefings had warned her that Earth's ecosystem was considered extreme by galactic standards, but surely that would work in her favor. What better proof of humanity's adaptability? I trust you understand the responsibility you carry. A tall figure stepped into her peripheral vision. Sunra, the Stellar Confederation's top student, their bioluminescent markings pulsing with barely concealed skepticism. The quarantine wasn't lifted lightly. One mistake will not occur. Statistical analysis of human behavioral patterns suggests processing error. Please remain calm while we... The security arch Kira had passed through earlier was flashing amber, its display cycling through unfamiliar symbols. Interesting. The system appears to be detecting abnormal threat level. Abnormal? How so? Warning symbols cascaded across the display as new readings appeared. Kira felt her heart sink as she recognized one pattern from her briefings, the symbol for quarantine containment. Oh, that's probably not good. Kira stared at the sealed airlock, mind racing through options that would have been impossible on any world except Earth. The drone's containment field hummed closer, but their programming assumed they were dealing with a conventional biological threat. They hadn't counted on a species that evolved on a planet where everything was trying to kill you. Your heart rate indicates elevated stress. Please remain calm while... Kira launched herself at the crystal wall, using the reinforced heel of her boot to strike a precise point where the light refracted differently. The crystalline surface, designed to withstand external impacts, had a crucial weakness: it was grown in layers. Structural integrity compromised. Adjusting containment protocols. The environmental controls suddenly shifted, dropping the temperature sharply. Ice crystals began forming on the walls, but not where they should have. The patterns were wrong, creating a clear path through the drone sensor grid. Your environmental systems appear to be malfunctioning. How unfortunate, particularly given the known thermal limitations of Mark 7 security drone sensors. Almost like someone hacked them. A concerning hypothesis. One might wonder how a species from a quarantined world inspired such creative solution. The drone sensors struggled to track her through the controlled temperature variation. Kira slipped past their containment field, her movements guided by years of parkour training, another survival skill born from Earth's punishing gravity. Did you know that humans developed something called parkour just for navigating their urban environments? The physical requirements alone. Perhaps save the xenoanthropology lesson until after. Multiple security breaches detected, deploying secondary containment measures. The corridor ahead began to fill with a fine mist, probably some kind of incapacitating agent. But Kira had grown up in a world where toxic spores and dangerous pollen were seasonal hazards. She pulled her orientation scarf tight across her face, modified with filtration weave that would make Earth's most paranoid survivalist proud. The biochemistry lab in Section K7 has independent environmental controls, theoretically secure from external system access. Theoretically secure from internal access too. Or it would be if someone hadn't left their credentials logged in. How careless. You know, for a species from a death world, you are surprisingly good at not killing anything. That's kind of the point. On Earth, surviving isn't about being the most deadly, it's about being the most adaptable. The biochemistry lab's doors sealed with a satisfying hiss. Vector's crystalline form emerged from a side entrance, all four hands flying across multiple holographic interfaces. Pell bounded in moments later, their fur cycling through excited color pattern. We have approximately 12 minutes before they bypass the lab's independent system. Why are they so afraid of humans, really? Because this feels like more than just bureaucratic overcaution. Show her. She needs to understand. Multiple holographic displays sprang to life around them. Vector's hands moved in precise patterns, pulling up planetary data, biological readings, environmental comparison. Your Earth is unique in documented galactic history, not for its beauty or resources, but for its unprecedented level of evolutionary pressure. The displays showed familiar Earth scenes, a pride of lions hunting, an electric eel discharging, a bombardier beetle defending itself. Each image corresponding threat assessment ratings appear. Every planet has predators, every world has environmental hazards, but Earth is the only known planet where virtually every survival strategy evolved simultaneously. Most worlds specialize. Predators on one, toxins on another, parasites somewhere else. But Earth developed everything. And we adapted to all of it. Vector. Precisely. Your species survived an evolutionary arms race that never ended. You developed redundant organs, robust immune systems, extraordinary pattern recognition, and psychological adaptations that most species would consider terrifying. Did you know humans can survive losing entire limbs? Or that they instinctively form social bonds with other species? Or that they can throw projectiles with deadly accuracy, a skill almost no other species ever developed? The security doors shuddered outside. Containment fields were being recalibrated. That's why the quarantine. It wasn't about protecting Earth from the galaxy. Not exactly. It was about protecting both from each other. The security doors shuddered again. Warning lights flashed as external systems began overriding the lab's independence. The galaxy fears Earth's potential for violence, but that's not what makes humans dangerous. It's your endless drive to improve, to solve problems, to adapt, to help others adapt. I don't understand. Show her your analysis, the real one. New data filled the displays. Trade regulations, technological development curves, cultural exchange restriction. In the 3 centuries since Earth's quarantine, technological progress in the Federation has slowed by 47%. Cultural exchange programs have declined by 73%. Even artistic innovation has dropped by 31%. Because innovation is dangerous. Because innovation requires challenge. And humans make everything around them evolve faster. Not through violence, through inspiration. The doors shuddered a final time. Warning sirens indicated a full security breach was imminent. That's why this exchange program matters. Not to prove humans aren't dangerous, but to prove that danger isn't what we thought it was. The question is, are you ready to show them? Kira looked at the sealed doors, then at the alien students who'd risked everything to help her, who were willing to risk more because they understood what Earth really meant to the galaxy, not as a threat, but as a catalyst for growth. I think it's time for a practical demonstration of human problem solving. The security doors dissolved in a shower of molecular deconstruction particles. Dean Neck's claws tentacles writhed with agitation as security drones filled the entrance containment fields humming behind them. Zakar's familiar form pushed through, his carapace showing signs of rush transit. Step away from the human, for your own safety. With respect, you misunderstand the situation and the subject. We've monitored her elevated threat responses, the biological weapons, the enhanced capabilities. You mean her immune system? The adaptations that let her survive on a world that would kill any of us in days? You want to see something actually dangerous? This is what happens to a society without challenge, without the need to adapt. Impossible. Our civilization has advanced at less than half its previous rate. We've stagnated, hiding from anything that might push us to evolve, to improve. The quarantine. It was never about containing Earth's threat. It was about containing Earth's influence. Because humans don't just adapt, we help others adapt too. We see different ways to solve problems, to survive, to thrive. The security drones' containment fields flickered as their sensors struggled to categorize the shifting threat assessment. Vectors displays filled with new data, Earth species that had developed symbiotic relationships, human medical advances that saved other species, technological innovations sparked by Earth's harsh condition. Your security system doesn't know whether to classify me as a threat because it can't tell the difference between capacity for harm and capacity for change. But you can. The exchange program wasn't about proving humans are safe. It was about proving we're ready to change. The Dean's translator finally admitted his tentacles settled into a pattern that needed no translation: acceptance. The drones powered down as new classification protocols engaged. Kira sat cross-legged on a floating study pod, watching the 3 suns set through the crystal dome. Vector's latest analysis hovered above her palm. Cultural exchange rates had already increased by 12% since the security incident. The Advancement Committee is still arguing about proper classification protocols. Apparently, they can't decide whether to list humans as evolutionary catalysts or adaptive consultants. How about just student? Technically incorrect. As of this morning, you are also listed as a teaching assistant for the new Terran Adaptation Strategies course. The Dean's idea. Though I might have suggested it. The Federation has 3 centuries of evolution to catch up on. And to think they almost quarantined you on your first day. About that, I've been comparing notes with Pell about Earth's deadly wildlife. Turns out most of our dangerous animals just want to be friends. Wait until they hear about dogs. The study pod adjusted automatically as they all settled in to watch the last sunset. Somewhere in the distance, new alarms were being calibrated, not to contain change but to embrace it. Earth's first student had become Earth's first teacher, and the galaxy was finally ready to learn. Just promise me one thing. Next time, maybe try solving the problem before breaking every security protocol in the archive. No promises. After all, that's how humans adapt. Above them, the stars stretched out like possibilities, each one a little less afraid of change than before.